Travelers, welcome to Reach the World. For over 20 years, Reach the World has used virtual exchange to inspire youth to become curious, confident, and compassionate global citizens. My name is Tim, and I'm so glad you're joining us for today's Meet the World event. The Meet the World program builds positive, personal connections between students in the United States and global cultures, all through direct interactions with real people who are excited to share their countries and cultures with you. For a complete listing of upcoming Meet the World livestream events, you can visit athome.reachtheworld.org. Today, we're connecting with Mercedes Sempe. Mercedes is a Fulbright foreign language teaching assistant from Mar del Plata, Argentina. This year, she's teaching Spanish at Simpson College in Indianola, Iowa. And she's joining us today from Iowa to talk about traditional family gatherings in Argentina. But before I turn things over to Mercedes, I want to welcome the teachers and students who are watching today's Meet the World live stream event. Please feel free to use your YouTube chat bar to let us know you're here, where you're joining us from, and of course to share any questions you have for our guests as we go. We'll get to as many questions as we can in the next 30 minutes. Please feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll bring them into the conversation after Mercedes is finished presenting. And with that, it's time to take a journey to Argentina. Mercedes, welcome to Reach the World.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tim. Well, as he has said, I'm Mercedes. I am from Argentina, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about family gatherings in Argentina. So if you just one sec, that I'll share my screen with you. Is that okay, Tim? Can you see it?
It looks fantastic, yeah.
Great. Okay, so well, this is the Argentinian flag. Just in case you might not know this, Argentina is in South America. I included a little map here for you to know how far away we are from the United States. Actually, I'm here in the US, in Iowa, as Tim said, but this is Argentina. It is one of the most southern countries in the world, along with Chile, which is right next to it. So this is my city. As you've seen in the map, I am by the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. I love my city. It's a great city if you ever want to visit me. And we're going to talk about family gatherings. The reason why we chose this topic is because Argentina, the Argentinian culture is very family oriented. I was talking to Tim just a couple of seconds ago, and we were talking about Thanksgiving and how Americans have this great holiday that they spend with their families. We do have holidays similar to those in Argentina, although we don't have Thanksgiving, but we tend to get together very often, and one day that we usually spend together is Sunday. Okay, this is my family, this is my dog Otto. You cannot see my grandparents right here because they don't live in the same city as I do. But for example, my cousins who do live next to them or close to them, they get together with my grandparents, my uncle, my aunts, and everyone gets together on Sunday. And they usually eat or pasta or asado. So 3 things, or actually 2, and some details that we're going to talk about today are eating asado, which is a way of cooking beef in Argentina, and then drinking mate. First thing that you might notice is that we actually cook beef in a different way from how you cook barbecue. Now, I'm no expert in barbecue, so if you want to tell me something about it or write something to Tim, then he can send it to me, because I don't know a lot, although I have tried it and it's very good. But you'll see that we cook things not with the open fire, but with embers, with this orange and red glowing heat for the meat to cook. So today we're going to learn how to prepare an asado, and also what you need to do if you ever go to Argentina and you're invited to an asado, because you will have to do some things. So first thing you'll need, person preparing the asado, right? The asador. You're going to need a quincho. Now I'll tell you what this is. And you're going to need a lot of different meat cuts. Now, something that might seem strange is that we actually eat parts of the animals that are not usually eaten here. Some of them, you might know them, although they may or may not be so common. Again, you can tell me afterwards. We usually eat blood sausage. Oh, that's so good. Sausage. We eat kidneys. My parents love kidneys. So we've got all those strange things here. And an asado has a wide variety of meat cuts, right? So the quincho. What is a quincho? I'm sorry for the pictures, but I wanted to choose pictures that were like actual pictures that I have taken or that my friends have taken. So they are all like real pictures that people sent me. I asked my friends to send me pictures, and one of them said, please show the kids my quincho. This is her quincho. What do you think it is? Look at it. It looks like a house because it is a special place that people have in which they prepare their asados. So it's like a separate part of the house in which you've got a grill and you've got a table, and the whole point of it is to spend time with your family and your friends. Now, it is not the dining room, it is not the living room. Okay, so houses have those separately, and if you have a big enough house, of course, not every Argentinian has a quincho, you will have this that is like the house of the asado. This is my father's quincho. Here you can see one grill. Here he's got a different one. Why two? I don't know. And then he's got like this oven that is like a non-conventional oven in which you cook things with coal. He loves that. And the table around which all the family gets together and eats. The previous picture, oh, I'm sorry, this one, sorry for that. This is like a picture of some sort of quincho in a rooftop of a building. So even if people don't get to live in a house, they usually have this in the roof so they can go and get together with their friends. And I wanted to show you grills that might be a little bit different from American grills. Okay. So again, this is my father's quincho. Here you can see the grill more clearly. And here he's got something. It's not a very good sign actually because no one can read it. But anyways, I'm going to tell you what it says. It says, un aplauso para el asador. A round of applause for the asado maker. So if you're ever invited to an Argentinian asado, after you have tried the first piece of beef, you have to say un aplauso para el asador and you start clapping. There's a whole ritual to it, okay? So what are the steps to an asado? Now let me tell you something. I've got a friend from the US, he's from San Francisco, and we were in Argentina, the two of us one day, and we had to meet on a Sunday afternoon, but he had an asado before that. So he said, oh, don't worry, Mercedes, I'll meet you because I've got an asado at 12, so probably I'll be there at around 2 at whichever we had to meet, wherever we had to meet. And I said, you have an asado at 12? There's no way you can make it at 2. And he was like, why not? It's just eating. No, sir. No, sir. It's not just eating. There's a whole ritual to it. So first, if you're invited to an asado at 12, the chances of you actually sitting and eating at 12 are slim to none. There's no way. You have to help preparing the asado. So this is a picture, again, of one of my friends. That's why there are people like in their bathing suits. You arrive there, this is the asador, and this person, the asador, is like the one in charge of the beef, but you have to first keep company to the asador. You'll most likely drink the Argentinian drink that I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. So you're going to drink mate with that person, you're going to prepare the sides. You don't take things already finished, unless it is a very fancy asado. But if it's just with friends, the whole point is to do things together, right? So that'll take at least 1 hour. You'll be eating at 1, more or less. And the other thing that you have to know is, I don't know if you remember the picture with the different meat cuts, but all of those are not ready at the same time. So the asador is going to decide, okay, we're going to sit and now we're going to have this part of the asado. So it's not one course. You're going to have like 2 3 courses of beef throughout the asado, right? At different points in the asado. You end up eating a lot. And after that, after you have done all of that, you have what is called a sobremesa. I've prepared a little definition for you. A sobremesa is the time spent around the table after lunch or dinner, talking to the people you shared the meal with. It's the time to digest and savor both food and friendship. So it would be very rude of you to just eat and leave. You have to eat and then you have to stay with the people that invited you, but it's not that you have to. You'll find yourself enjoying yourself. So you're actually you will want a sobremesa. So imagine, you've been there, you arrived. You've got to cook, keep company to the asado maker. Then you are going to eat asado in like 3 courses, and then you're going to stay seated and talking for a while. That's going to take at least 4 hours. Of course, not all asados, we don't make asados every Sunday, but when we do, they are usually this long, at least 3 hours. Then you can tell me about Thanksgiving so that we can compare those traditions. And well, so remember, for the asado, we needed the asador, the quincho, and the meat cuts. And then something else that we might do, although this is not necessarily on a Sunday, is drinking mate. This is the Argentinian national drink, but I have to tell you, it's not exclusive of Argentina. People in Uruguay, which is a country on the east, to the east of Argentina, and then in the south of Brazil, that is in the north of Argentina, and then Paraguay, drink mate too. So that's Argentina, Uruguay, the south of Brazil, and the portion of Paraguay too. What is mate? Look at this. This is a thermos with hot water. In a couple of minutes, I'll show you mine. And what you've got here is some sort of vessel that is originally made of cord, like a type of pumpkin, okay, that you fill with some herbs. Let me show it to you here. Again, in a minute, I'll show you mine. So what you do is you put all the herbs that are called yerba in, you shake it a little bit, and then you pour the hot water and you put a sort of metal straw that is called the bombilla in. This sounds like a very strange way of making tea. It is a very strange way of making tea. But you need to consider that this was something that the Native Americans did before they had tea bags, right? So that is something that we need to take into account. You end up with something very similar to tea in a very different way of making it. But there's another difference with that drinking tea, which is that the whole idea of drinking mate, it is also a ritual because it is shared. This means, look, I'm going to show you a mate here. Then I'm going to show you in the big screen, but I've got the same one in this picture. I've got it right here. So what you do is you've got only one mate for a whole group of friends, right? So these are my friends, right? The 3 of us are together, plus the person who's taking the picture. We were 4, and we have only one mate. The person in charge of the thermos is like the asado maker. It's called a cebador. That person is going to be in charge of pouring hot water into the mate. You pour hot water, you drink it, and when it's done, it makes a little sound that it's empty, now I'm going to show it to you, you give it back to the person with the thermos. If you make a mistake and you give it to another person, that may bring bad luck. So you got to remember who it is. It sounds silly, but you're talking, you've been drinking like the 3rd mate, and you kind of forget. You just give it to the person who you're talking to, and no, that's a mistake. You need to give it back to the person with the thermos. That person pours more water in and then gives it to another person. It is the same one. Now, imagine Argentina when the pandemic struck. the government was like, please, people, do not drink mate. Do not share your mates. There were like memes saying that coronavirus loves mate. There were memes of coronavirus drinking mate. So what people did is they started taking their own mates around. So if you go to your parents' house or to your grandparents' house, for example, you have your own and your grandparents have their own. Okay, so I told my brother that I was going to tell you about this. And he sent me this picture in which he was like, please tell everybody, look, I met with a friend. This is a friend of his. This is my brother's hand. And he said, look, I've got my own mate and he has his own mate. We're not sharing. But this is opposite to the spirit of mate. We're doing it because the circumstances request this, but actually people don't usually drink mate on their own. Yeah, well, I do because I'm in Iowa and I'm the only person drinking mate, but people don't drink mate on their own. The whole point of it is to get together with someone, because as you need to be close to the person with the thermos, it forces, the way it is thought of, it forces people to get together. You cannot just take your mate and go working somewhere else. If you have it in your office, anyways, someone needs to be in charge of controlling where it's going. So again, everything is about that. Those are my friends. As I said, this is my brother's friend, and this is me in my city drinking mate on the beach. So if you want me to, I can send you, show you the mate. Tim, do you think I can stop sharing? Yeah? Okay, so as I said, the original mate was made of pumpkin, a cord, right? Again, Native American tradition. It's not that they had plastic ones. So actually inside you can see the remains of the pumpkin and everything. And what you do is you put yerba, which is this, okay? It looks like grass. Looks like a very weird and green kind of tea. I brought 3 packages of this into the United States. Here you've got, this is the brand. And what you do is you pour, well, actually I was going to show you that they can be cord ones, wooden ones. This is a wooden mate. This is the metal straw. I don't know if you can see, this is the thing that works in the same way as a tea bag, right? A sort of filter, so that when you put it inside, you don't drink the herbs, but rather just the hot water. You put it inside like this, and that's what it looks like, okay? And there are different straws. This one looks like this. It's also a filter, okay? And something that a lot of people, my grandparents, my parents think that it's terrible, I've got a plastic mate. Yeah, it's like I've broken with tradition, but I wanted it to be fashionable. So it has like cute designs around. And what you do, I've got my thermos, first thing that I bought when I came to the United States, my thermos, my mate, without destroying, I pour some hot water. You can put sugar into it, but people in Uruguay would tell you that you've got a problem if you put sugar in your mate. I put a little bit of sugar, but don't tell my parents. And then you're going to take your bombilla and you're going to put it in like this. Yeah, you pour some more water and then you drink it just like that. Oh, it's so good. Oh, this is very good. And when you make this sound, it means that that's it. It means that there's no more water. So you give it back to the person in charge of it all. And then that person pours water and hands it to another person. This is one of the things I miss the most about Argentina, sharing mate with my friends. I'm drinking on my own. But anyways, well, that was pretty much it. The asado, the mate. Now you know what you have to do and what you have to try when you come and visit me in Argentina.
All right, Mercedes, thank you so much. What a great demonstration of the mate. I really want to try it. Actually, I've seen it in American grocery stores in the tea aisle. So I think maybe anyone who's listening who wants to give this a try may not have all the implements, but you can definitely get yerba mate in some of the larger grocery stores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's possible to get it, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So if you run out, I just wanted you to know you weren't gonna, all hope wouldn't be lost. We'll find some. I have a bunch of questions for you, some from our online audience, just some from myself out of curiosity. Let's go back to the asados, please, if we could for a minute. I'm curious to know if there's a tradition around who hosts an asado. Is it like the parents, or is it always the same person? Or can anybody host an asado if you have the right tools?
Well, actually, anyone can, but it's not as simple as it looks like. I've tried to make an asado, and as I said, because you don't do it with open fire, there are like little tricks, just like with everything, there are little tricks to keep those coal stones red for them to cook. Otherwise, I mean, I've done the fire, I had the coal looking all hot and orange and glowy, and then within seconds it gets cold and I don't get to cook anything. So it's something that usually fathers do. Of course, a lot of women know how to make asados. My mom does. But in my house, for example, my father likes making asados, and it's sort of a tradition also to teach their kids. But when we go back to my parents' house, it's always my dad. You gotta sort of be taught how to make an asado, and you can tell if you spend enough time there tasting different asados, you can tell if that was the first time of a person doing an asado. So it's generally every group of friends has like one person that is responsible of doing it right.
All right, it's not all that different from American houses having a grill master or somebody who mans the tongs or holds the tongs. A question from our online audience: is it always beef in Argentina, or are there other meats that are incorporated?
Well, actually, a lot of chicken too, beef, chicken, and a lot of pork. Yeah, there are also other varieties. As you move to different parts of Argentina, especially to the south, people can eat other things, but mostly it is beef. Unless you sort of clarify if you're eating something else. And also, of course, if for some reason you don't eat meat, people get invited to asados all the same. And what they do is we grill other things like vegetables, but the whole ritual of grilling things is kept.
Okay, good. You showed us some great examples of quinchos, and all of them are really, look to me at least, to be outdoor spaces, or like there's, if possible, it's an outdoor space. You must have some beautiful weather to be able to do that a lot. What is the weather and the climate like in Argentina?
Well, actually, it's very, very varied because it stretches from the south, we've got glaciers. In the south of Argentina, you've got glaciers and penguins and whales. Actually, in my city, which is around the middle, we've got a lot of sea lions and some whales. And then to the north, it touches Brazil, which has this tropical weather. In the south, well, I didn't show you this, but in the south, they've got a version of grills that is similar to what I've seen, then you can tell me if it's not true. What I've seen of barbecue grills that have some sort of lid, because it's very windy, it's very cold, but quinchos are outdoor spaces in general. What you do, I mean, you have the table inside, how can I put this? That's why the grill is inside the quincho. Yeah, you get the person that cooks and the guests are all together in a closed space in spite of the weather, right? But what you have pointed out is true. For example, in the case of my father, you've got the house and then you've got the yard, and at the end, you've got the quincho. So if it's raining, you sort of got to run to the quincho.
Can you describe any sort of sauces or side dishes that are common to go with the grilled meat?
Well, we've got a couple of sauces, mostly, again, I'm not sure how to compare them to the ones that you've got here, but one that is very famous is called chimichurri, and it has a lot of herbs with oil and vinegar, and usually chopped onion, chopped tomato and pepper, red pepper and green pepper, chopped little small, and that's what you put on meat. We also have like varieties of pesto because Argentina has a very strong influence of the Italians and the Spaniards. So we've got those sauces, but for example, not mayo, not ketchup or mustard. That they would be like outraged that you're doing that.
No barbecue sauce.
No barbecue sauce. Because I love barbecue sauce, but the flavor is very strong. And the whole point, you'll actually see that beef is cooked with salt and nothing else. You're like tasting the beef itself. So if you bring everything that's too overpowering, they're going to tell you that you're not really eating asado.
I can just imagine on like a nice Sunday afternoon in a neighborhood, where there are lots of people living, the smell in the air must be remarkable.
Yeah, it's true. And when for some reason you're not having one and you can smell that your neighbor is having one and you're like, oh, I wish I was there. It's true. What you're saying is totally true. Yeah.
This is a question more about the mate. You probably observed that in the United States, there's a tradition of going to coffee houses and places to get your cup of coffee or your cup of tea to go, and you're always just sort of make it a part of your routine. I wonder in Argentina, could you get mate at a restaurant or a cafe, or does everybody have their own and bring it with them?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, the whole coffee culture is different. To answer your question, everyone has their own. What you do is you agree that you're going to meet some friends at the park, for example, and you get organized. Okay, I'm bringing the mate, I'm bringing the water. As regards coffee, I've been told, well, I've seen it now that I'm here, but I've met a lot of Americans in Argentina, and because mate makes you stay together and sit and talk, that is what Argentinians have transferred to the coffee culture. So for example, you'll see that there are not so many drive-throughs in coffee shops. People don't usually drink coffee while they drive, but they actually get off their cars and they sit with people for half an hour or so, or 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, how much time you've got. And then they continue, but you don't usually drink those things on your own, like walking around, because I think it's related to the fact that we drink mate in this way.
It's really interesting. I feel like the powers of globalization might try to influence that custom in Argentina. It's nice to hear that people are holding strong and sticking to the root of the custom. Is there a general rule of how many times you can refill a mate cup before you have to put new leaves in?
That is a very good question. I was going to tell you, and I forgot, that the person who has the thermos and is pouring the water is the one who has to control if the yerba is still good to continue drinking it or not. And you can complain as a mate drinker, you can say, hey, come on, you got to do something about this. So what you do is you basically take a little bit off or all of it off, and then you renew it. Because if you're together with a group of friends, one thermos might not be enough. So that is something you sort of renew the mate, and you'll see that as you continue drinking it, it changes. I might not be able to show it to you now, but it gets darker and there are like different leaves on the top, and you can see and you can tell that it needs to be changed.
Okay, so is your advice to have it the first time with an experienced Argentinian, and they will show you what it looks like, and then you can learn. I feel like we're getting towards the end of our time, but I wanted to come back and maybe finish on the topic of sobremesa. Hope I'm pronouncing that right, because I feel like it has some good connections to, we discussed the upcoming American holiday of Thanksgiving, and it's really kind of at the heart of this tradition that you're getting together and the food is delicious and amazing, but the reason you do it is to spend time with your family and have conversations and connect with everyone. And I really, really liked that concept. So if we're going to incorporate this cool global element of Argentinian custom into something we're doing in our global lives in the US. We can all try to have some sobremesa added to our Thanksgiving celebrations this year.
Oh, that would be great. I'm super excited about Thanksgiving because, as I was telling you, I don't really know what it is about because we don't celebrate in Argentina. So it'll be great to see it. And yeah, there are a lot of countries that do it. Spain, a friend of mine that lives with me is from Spain, and she has sobremesa too. So it'll be very good. You'll see that you'll have a lot of fun in the sobremesa.
Awesome, great. Well, before we go, I want to ask you as my real final question. You're in the United States for a year-long Fulbright teaching fellowship. What is something you're excited about doing in the United States while you're here?
Oh, something I'm excited about. Actually, I was excited about holidays because seasons are different in Argentina, right? So for example, first of all, I don't live in a place in which it snows in Argentina. And on top of that, it's summer and Christmas. Mm-hmm. So people usually maybe they are in the swimming pool with their bathing suits, and then it's Christmas. So I'm excited to live holidays, but with the opposite season. That's super excited about that. Having this snowman and Christmas in the same day or week, that'd be crazy for me.
Well, I'm sure that Iowa will give you the chance to have that experience. I'm happy for you and excited for you. And thank you so much for joining us today to tell us about family gatherings. I want to thank everyone else who joined us today, all of our online audience. This was a really fun journey. I learned a lot. I'm sure you did too. Reach the World is going to continue hosting more Meet the World live stream events over the coming months throughout this whole academic year. And we're going to meet many more Fulbright foreign language teaching assistants who are going to tell us about their home countries and some aspect of those cultures. So you can visit athome.reachtheworld.org for more information on any of those upcoming events. And Mercedes, thank you again. We'll see everybody next time.
Bye-bye.